When Edward Michael was 8 years old, his father shows him the image of the tallest peak on the planet, Mount Everest. Edward got inspired by the image and says that one day, he would reach its peak. His father laughs and says that there would be insufficient oxygen supply and one would require high stamina to climb it. Similarly, every child would have seen some image in his or her childhood and would have aspired something related to it. Similarly, Edward dreamt of climbing Mount Everest since then. But by the fate of life, when Edward was in his early 20s, he met with an accident that crushed his vertebral column and was admitted in a hospital. The doctors gave him a shock that he was lucky to have survived and would have to stay bedridden for the rest of his life and could not even stand up. He couldn't even stand up to urinate. But within a year of him hearing that he could not stand up, he climbed the Mount Everest he wanted to scale when he was 8 and became among the youngest people to scale the mountain then. Today, we are going to see the life story of this person named Edward Michael, who is today known to the world as Bear Grylls. We will see the struggle-filled life of this man who has fit 10 lives of adrenaline into one life. He is popular among animal lovers as he appears in the show Man vs. Wild and even hosts a documentary series named Hostile Planet. Even if there are millions of inspirational people around the world, Bear Grylls' life story should be among the topmost inspirational ones because he has cleared so many tough paths, including the year 1996 when he met with the accident I said, that had changed his life. If you are a person who has had some goal in life and is not able to reach it for a variety of reasons, then, this video is exclusively for you. This will inspire you to take some action to pursue your passion for the future. So, without further ado, let's begin the video. Bear Grylls was born on the 7th of June, 1974 in the United Kingdom. Since then, his father took him for adventures and trekking and he fell in love with animals and nature and lived like a monkey climbing every tree he could see and roaming around the place. Once when he was 8, his father showed him the image of Mount Everest. And as I said, his father laughed at it and said that there would be insufficient oxygen supply and that one would require high stamina to climb it. But Bear Grylls was not ready to accept it. He wanted to scale the mountain and thus started training since his early teens by coming to India and training with the Indian Army to climb mountains. He had learned a lot of valuable lessons including discipline and sacrifice for the welfare of the nation from the Indian Army along with mountain climbing. At the same time, an idea sparked in his mind, since expeditions and mountain climbing would require lots of money which he couldn't afford, why couldn't join the army? Because the army incorporated everything Edward wanted, like nature, animals, trekking and mountain climbing. So, the Irishman decided to join the Indian Army. But soon he was called back to the UK by his family. He went to the UK and joined the British military which specialized in adventure. Once with his army, he had gone to South Africa where he saw an exhibition of parachute jumping. He too was excited and tried to jump using a parachute in 1996 from a height of 16,000 feet. There are times when nothing should go wrong. Among them are the landing of aircraft, performing stunts in bikes, rope walking, fire breathing, etc. Similarly, when Edward was jumping from the staggering height, the parachute suddenly stopped working when it was at around 9,000 feet from there. Bear Grylls did a free fall with his face facing the ground, and he would have met death if he hadn't turned his body over. He fell with a loud thud on his back. This was how he fractured 3 parts of his backbone. With his body covered with blood, and wounds and bruises all over his body, people thought he was dead, but they still admitted the army man in a nearby hospital with some hope of survival. The doctors too thought that he was dead. But surprisingly, Bear Grylls had survived, and the doctors said him that his survival was an astonishing achievement. But, the doctors added that he could not stand up like a normal man, and they were not even sure if his backbone would support him if he sat on a wheelchair. So, in order to not get into any risky business, they advised Edward to remain bedridden. For this man who wanted to spend his last breath in adventure, came the shock that he had to remain bedridden for the rest of his life. Even for urinating, he had a bag attached to his body and had to pass his urine lying down in bed. This man, who was once happily jumping after seeing anything, thought that his life was over and wept for days and nights. He says that there was no day when he hadn't cried at the time, thinking of his love for nature and adventure. One day, when Edward was in his bed, he finally decided that his goal in life was to scale the Everest. I don't even know how he had the guts to go against his doctors, who told him that he couldn't even stand or sit in a wheelchair. And within 12 months, he became the youngest person to scale the peak of the Everest then. Later, his record was shattered by 13-year-old Jordan Romero. But he was only around 21 or 22 when he started to climb the mountain. His body wasn't at its best, but still conquered the Everest. And he did not stop there. He started to scale mountains which even the first man to climb Mount Everest, namely Tenzing Norgay, and many other world-class mountaineers had mentioned as impossible to climb. People opened their jaws in awe. Even the doctors gasped, how did this human whom we thought could never even stand still, how had he scaled such great heights? After this, there were no limits to the success of Bear Grylls, and the rest is history. And his fame reached worldwide through his show Man vs. Wild. The main theme of the show is to go alone to an isolated forest and find ways to survive alone. He has even killed camels, yaks, snakes, and has eaten them. He has even slept in the bodies or carcasses of animals when he had to. He has explored nature in such a manner that no one could explore as much as he did. Even today, he lives with 3 children. He even takes celebrities including US President Barack Obama, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, author Kate Hudson, actor Nick Jonas, actress Courtney Cox, dancer Julianne Hough, ski racer Lindsey Vonn, American footballer Marshawn Lynch, tennis player Roger Federer, and is planning to do shows with Indian cricketer Virat Kohli and Bollywood actress Deepika Padukone, to accompany him on his survival journey in the show named Running Wild with Bear Grylls. So, viewers, remember that every dream of yours can come true if you dare to pursue them. Yes, all dreams can come true, except one, to beat Bear Grylls in survival skills. You even have an unbroken backbone. You can definitely succeed. Do not listen to dream stealers. In Bear Grylls' case, the dream stealers were the doctors. Similarly, even you have such people surrounding you. But to every question of theirs, you have a perfect reply inside you. With this thought, let's finish this video. I will meet you with another motivational video. Till then, goodbye.